Hello and welcome to another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast, brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the mayor of Maya Day Club. This guy next to me is not Jesse Friedman. He's not the Thundersick, but he's the one and only Rock Knowledge. What's up, homie?
I am chilling. I'm here because, me and Jesse had to have a Falls Count Anywhere match to sit in this chair today.
This is correct.
And he lost.
He did lose. Well, I mean, he was a bit overmatched there, don't you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was like, heavyweight versus cruiserweight status.
You hit him with a stunner and he didn't even know. He was like, who does that move? And you were like, Stone Cold. And he says, I don't know that person. So,
yes,
yeah.
But you mentioned Maya Day Club. Yesterday was quite the ordeal for you, sir. I'm glad to see you made it civilization.
I almost stayed forever, and I do have just a bit of Stockholm syndrome. I feel like I'm not complete anymore now that I'm no longer in the South Bar. I was consistently drinking a diet of triple sec and sweet and sour mostly to keep myself hydrated. It didn't work. I think I started getting crazy off of it, but not as crazy as the St. Louis Cardinals and Paul Goldschmidt drove the Arizona Diamondbacks this weekend. These boys got their ass stomped. There's no better way to put it than that. Even in the games that got close, they really weren't that close. Even in games where the Diamondbacks had a lead, it was temporary. That game in game 2, things turned bad late in that game. Like that game, it's hard to remember that was an 8-7 game going into the 9th inning, but this is not this was not a great series, and it was a stiff reminder that Paul Goldschmidt is very, very good and that we should regret trading him away every single day of our lives.
Yeah. Hard to believe that Paul Goldschmidt is still really great at baseball at this stage of his career.
It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think you think guys peak at one point. I think with baseball players, it's not completely untrue, right? You see guys reach a certain level. We've seen that with players on this team. Jake Lamb was a guy that became an all-star with this team, but then never got back to that level of where he was at that all-star season. So there tends to be sometimes a peak in baseball players' careers, and sometimes these teams are just trying to guess if they hit it. Paul Goldschmidt, in the word of Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, has only begun to peak. He is not even close to peaking yet, right? Like this guy was incredible. And when you talk about that, you have to also talk about Albert Pujols, T.O. Albert having his 2 home run game against Madison Bumgarner, which is something that you could have said at any point over the last 30 years. It feels like, I don't know. That's too far, but it's a long time that those two guys have been playing baseball. And even though it wasn't for the Diamondbacks, it was still kind of cool to see these two guys have the game that they got. Yeah, Jesse's pointing out that we welcome this man onto our show, and he has a Fernando Tatis Jr. shirt in the background. You've immediately lost all credit.
We'll talk about that later. I just want to
he came to talk about it. He has some things to talk about.
I just want to touch on Goldie because this season, the man is an MVP candidate. He is just absolutely raking. And I think a big part of his he's always been successful. But I think that when we let him go to the Cardinals have a different culture when it comes to the way their baseball team is handled, ran, played on that field.
Absolutely.
It is a winning culture, and I'm not bashing the D-backs in that instance. But when you go play for the St. Louis Cardinals, there's expectations almost every season that the team on that field is going to compete. So players got to step up and do a little bit more. And Paul Goldschmidt, man, it's bittersweet seeing him in that uniform, but every time I see him on SportsCenter or anywhere, I love seeing Goldie get his because I still love Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think everybody here in Arizona is still a big fan of his, which is part of the reason why it hurts so much. But yeah, I think I said it the other day, St. Louis is one of those teams that you go to and you kind of become part of the team. It's hard to go to St. Louis and stand out. It's not to say you don't get recognition there. It's just to say amongst your peers, amongst your teammates, it tends to be one of those organizations that's very much about the team. Goldschmidt is a guy that never really wanted he seemingly never wanted that leadership role, right? He's just one of those baseball players that happened to be the best guy on his team. So thus the leadership role is kind of thrust upon you, not based on any characteristic or anything like that, but just based on the fact that you're the best, right? I think when he went to St. Louis, you didn't really have to worry about that because it's not really this guy's the star, this guy's the lead. It really is about the entire team. He flourished in that environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing him really have one of the best seasons he's ever had, at least one of the best seasons he's had St. Louis. And just the kind of series, Rock, that makes me drink a beer this big. This is how big the beer is that I'm drinking after watching Paul Goldschmidt this series, because the man killed 3 for 6 in Saturday night's game with 4 RBI, 2 runs scored. Of course, the home run in the 9th off Uceda. The bullpen absolutely collapsed for this team. I don't know what to say else about how bad the bullpen is, but we have the numbers, and the numbers really don't lie in illustrating how bad the bullpen has been. The Cardinals, of course, no, they did not win 6 losses. This is a mistake here. This is the score of the final game, and they got routed here, 3 losses to 0 in the sweep. But starting pitching ERA pretty comparable, 4.20 ERA to 4.86. But that relief pitching ERA, Rock, at nearly 14 for the Arizona Diamondbacks versus the 2.25 for the Cardinals. And then again, the batting with runners in scoring position, they have the big advantage there, which the Diamondbacks just don't seem to be able to really excel there with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring trend season after season with the Diamondbacks. And it's one of the most frustrating things as a fan of the team and who watches to see, like, okay, we're in a close game. We got 2 runners on, 1 out. And you just don't know if it's going to go our way. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't go our way. None of those runs score.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I mean, like, it's just the other teams, when they have runners in scoring position, it's like a hit parade.
Yeah. Well, especially in this series, it seemed like the Cardinals couldn't stop hitting. And then you also have the fact that the relief pitching really couldn't hold a lead at all in any way, even if they were given one. I think the biggest key here, obviously, for everybody, as far as the losses go, was just the one performance by Mark Melancon. Mark Melancon was completely ineffective in a one. He came into a 1-run game and he gave up 3 hits, a walk, 4 earned runs without recording a single out. Here's the thing, Rock. Like, if Mark Melancon was failing at coming in for non-save situations, why would you make that all that he does? Right? Like, we've seen them pivot tomorrow to Ian Kennedy being the closer, right? At least in high leverage situations, Ian Kennedy comes in. We saw him come in today. Mark Melancon has not been effective. Okay, like, here are his splits. In save situation, he's 17 for 20 with 3 blown saves, a 2.89 ERA, and 7.2 strikeouts per 9. Non-save situation, he has a 3-7 record with a 5.48 ERA and 5.9 strikeouts per 9. Just significantly different numbers there, yet that's the role that they seem to move him to, is non-save situations now.
Yeah. What multiverse was Mark Melancon good in? Because it's not the one he's currently in.
I don't know, like, which one did we get, right? Like, did we make a mistake? Was there some sort of, we got the wrong Mark Melancon from the Padres? Did this imposter show up at some point?
We definitely got a variant of Mark Melancon,
right?
And not a good one. Yeah.
I think there's a confidence level, right? I mean, the Padres team is very good, so maybe having that behind, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I still wonder why they've used him in so many non-save situations when he doesn't seem to be effective. We've talked about Brenly bringing it up. I mean, it's a weird mental thing, right? Like, what's the difference between a non-save situation? You're just going out there and trying to toss scoreless baseball, right? Doesn't matter. You're going out there trying to kill an inning and not give up. So it's like, it's such a weird thing for Melancon to struggle so significantly in non-save situations versus save situations. Fine. But you know that. Why would you then relegate him to this role. I mean, they still are going to have him on the payroll for next season and then a team option for the following season. So it's not like he's going away just after this season.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's going to be nobody knocking on the D-backs door for Mark Melancon services next season. So it's going to be another long one. And hopefully, with the rest of this season, off season and coming in the next year, hopefully he gets some of that mojo back. Because, I mean, hasn't always been the terrible version that we're currently seeing.
Right. And I mean, again, the Diamondbacks really tried to do everything they could to solidify their back end, and they just unfortunately hasn't worked out. Ian Kennedy has actually been a bit better. I know he's not been perfect either. It doesn't seem like anybody that they put into that role has been perfect.
No.
But again, he at least has been a bit more consistent than Mark Melancon. And that's the part that really is heartbreaking. And I mean, this series as a whole really just showed that the Diamondbacks were outclassed by the St. Louis Cardinals. When the Cardinals needed to come back, they did. When they needed to put runs up on the board to secure a victory late in the game, boy, fucking did they. But, I mean, of all the things that I can't believe is that the Diamondbacks' most reliable reliever came into a game, or I should put quotes around that, right? In theory, who should be their most reliable reliever, gives up 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 earned runs, and doesn't record a single out. And for that reason, Mark Melancon owns our OG's performance to forget, because sometimes you just need to take those OGs in order to forget nights like Game 2. And I think that would go to all of us.
Yeah, because he got charged for for 3 of those 4 runs on that grand slam, didn't he? Wasn't he responsible?
He got charged for 4 earned runs.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He got charged for all. I think he got charged because he let everybody on, and then Useda came in, and then he gave up. Right? Didn't he give up the?
He gave up the bomb. Yeah, he gave up the bomb.
Oh, it's not been a good weekend for the Diamondbacks, and hopefully they can put this behind them. They do have the Kansas City Royals coming up, and we'll get to that schedule. But of course, to forget a series like this, use our friends from OG's. Get over it with OG's wonderful variety of flavors. Rock knows what I'm talking about. We are both huge fans of OG's.
Absolutely.
And I was out at their pool party this weekend, which again, we're still going to talk about. But in the meantime, make sure to try OG's wonderful variety of flavors, strains, and doses that they have at your local dispensary. Make sure to pick those up. If you haven't had a chance, find them at your local dispensary by going to ogsbrands.com or on Instagram at ogsbrands. That's OGEEZ brands. And also go to our website at gophnx.com to sign up for a little giveaway that we got going on, because OG is all about flavoring life, and they are flavoring life with the Flavoring Life sweepstakes. Look at that guy. That's open shirt Derek. That guy lost his keys this weekend, and now he lived for like 24 hours at that Maya Day Club. But don't do that. What you can do is enter the sweepstakes. If you go to gophnx.com, you can sign up. You will win 3 bags of OG's gummies. That includes my favorite, which is the orange creamsicle flavor, as well as tropical flavors. You get the OG's hat. You get a PHNX t-shirt of your choice, as well as a PHNX annual membership. And remember, of course, that's for 21 and over, and to enjoy responsibly. And also, speaking of enjoying responsibly, I am enjoying this very large beer responsibly, Rock.
Yes, you are. Another thing about this past series was there was a lot more Cardinal red and Cardinal powder blue in those stands.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if you noticed, there was also a lot of, it was almost everybody in the crowd when Albert was batting. They had their phones out. The entire crowd had their phones out watching this man swing that bat and hit those home runs. And I mean, and St. Louis is one of those teams that has fans that are everywhere. But man, D-backs fans got outnumbered by Cardinal fans.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think it's one of the ones you don't think of, right?
Right.
When there's other fan bases that when the teams come here, you tend to like kind of expect it, right? You're like, all right, Dodgers, Padres, I get it. There's a lot of fans,
Cubs.
The one thing is the D-backs haven't been around very long, so when they play older franchises, we know that this is little Chicago, or where everybody from Chicago comes when they want sick of the weather. So of course, Cubs, White Sox, they tend to be outnumbered in those games, right? And then you have like the Yankees, Red Sox. Those are another loss if we're ever playing them here. But yeah, I mean, there's just something about the Cardinals. And our friend, Dr. Nighthawk, who happens to be a big St. Louis Cardinals fan, says, happen here in Colorado too. Sea of Red. I mean, there's something to, it's easy to forget that the St. Louis Cardinals are essentially the Yankees of the National League, right?
Yeah.
And I say that just because they tend to have a lot of money to be able to bring in free agents like Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. They have the allure of the franchise having that mystique and being around for a long time and a history. They have a shit ton of championships when compared to other franchises. And they just tend to be not only really well run, but really well respected by the fan bases and players and things like that. So, I mean, as mad as it makes me for Paul Goldschmidt to be there, I'm glad he's someplace that he's like beloved by the fans. And that's something that you're not going to get a lot of places, but you will get with the St. Louis Cardinals when you're an outstanding baseball player. That's for
Absolutely,
sure.
man. Absolutely.
And here's the other thing, by the way, speaking of my large beer, also make sure to check out our friends at Four Peaks, where we will be next week broadcasting live on Wednesday. You can get all of us, all the shows from Four Peaks, and you can join us there as well on August 31st. We will be at the 8th Street Pub, enjoying the wonderful Four Peaks beers as well as the chicken tendies, because, I can't stop talking about them, but make sure to find all of their beers, because they have you can try all of their beers. If you've never tried Four Peaks Brewing Company beers, you can give them a shot, figure out which one you like. And then that one can become your new best friend that you go pick up. And if you're not able to join us for the live shows, make sure to pick up Four Peaks wherever you get your beers. And that way you have almost the experience. You can listen to us live. You can be there. It's like that meme of the guy sitting on the ground next to the advertisement of the three people laughing. And he says, this is what listening to podcasts is like. We want that. We want you to have that experience. So make sure if you can't be with us there at the Four Peaks Brewing Company, that you do that, but enjoy their wonderful beers. Their beers are delicious. I love them. And they're also helping us out by giving you guys something free. You can enjoy not only the Flavoring Life sweepstakes, but you also get a shot at another membership by joining our Toast of the Month sweepstakes, which will get you a $50 Four Peaks gift card, a PHNX shirt of your choice, and a PHNX annual membership. So again, go to phnx.com, click the link in the show notes, whichever one is easier for you, and enter. That way you can join us, become part of the family. Must be 21 or older and must enjoy responsibly. Rock, we saw there in the graphic that a big difference in regards to the Diamondbacks and their relief staff really is the ERA between starting pitchers and relief pitching. It seems like in this series, coming into this game, the Diamondbacks had a 2.10 ERA in their last 5 games. But what's wild about that is that includes Madison Bumgarner's rough start there against the St. Louis Cardinals. I joke about Madison Bumgarner probably more than any baseball player on this team, but I love the dude. I think he's hilarious. I think he's himself. I think he's a guy that wears his feelings on his sleeve. And I just love that about him. He's, as far as covering a baseball team, he's just so close to chaos at all times that he is the most fascinating player at times in the locker room. But it's hard not to look and see the big difference there between what Gallen, Kelly, and even Tommy Henry are doing for this baseball team versus Mad Bum. They've talked a bit about him moving from one side of the bump to the other, and that doesn't really seem to be effective. He's striking guys more out, but he's giving up more earned runs than ever. So I don't know if that's, if that's the give and take that you really want there. Strikeouts are great and all, but really it's about effectiveness and keeping your team in the game, which he hasn't really been able to do in his last 2 starts. So I guess my question to you is, do you see Gallen, Kelly, and Henry being the core of this moving forward? Do you think that the Diamondbacks can somehow get out of Madison Bumgarner's contract before it's over, or do you see him just being here until it rides out?
To answer the second question first, I don't know that we're going to be able to get out of Madison Bumgarner's contract because he's not performing at a level you would expect from what he's capable of doing. So I don't know that a lot of teams are going to want to take that contract on. So I get that. As far as the other guys that are in the rotation, these young guys that are out there, they very well could be part of this team's rotation moving forward. I think another part of what's going on with Bumgarner, and this just could be my take, he's been pitching. He has a very long career right now. There's a ton of film. These guys have seen him, faced him numerous times across their career.
Right.
These younger guys, there's not as much film, and they haven't faced some of these guys as much. So that with baseball, they study everything. These guys have access to film on every pitcher and every instance, every situation. Right. And they can watch all of this stuff, so they can know Bumgarner's tendencies, what he's going to do here, what they think he's going to do there. And that could be a small part of some of his struggles. His stuff seems to be sometimes where it should be. Other times you're just like, man, like, what's going on with this guy? And you just never know.
If he's missing, if he doesn't have his accuracy, he's almost completely ineffective. And then on top of that, you have the frustration that really seems to get to him and really make him kind of fall apart even more, which obviously isn't great. But it's just a huge difference, it seems like, between like Gallen and Kelly and everybody else. And I mean, at this point, the Diamondbacks really don't have to like rush to fix that, but especially with Tommy Henry here now and kind of being included in the mix, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of relief or something to look forward to from the minor leagues. Brandon Pfaadt is somebody who actually has been really good for the Reno Aces. He improved to a 3-0 record, tossing 7 scoreless innings with just 1 hit allowed versus Salt Lake last night. So he continues to be excellent. He might be another guy that we see as part of this rotation, but I also don't see a need for the Diamondbacks to panic at this point. They're not really contending this year or even maybe next. So like that rotation spot can maybe be something that they maybe look to free agency to bring somebody in or make some trades. The Diamondbacks do have a lot of young players that could potentially be very enticing to a team that's rebuilding to add to their roster.
Yeah, we do. And the only caveat to that for me is that also kind of scares me because I don't want this team to go all in on a big name free agent and deplete our farm system. We got some guys in the minors right now that, given the time to develop, I think they could be some incredibly great baseball players. You just got to give them the time. Not saying we should not look to move one of those guys if we get an opportunity to grab somebody that can come in immediately and help this team.
They have a lot of outfielders that are going to come up at the same time or that are going to be like around the same progress at the same time. So definitely if that presents itself, an opportunity to make this team better, right? That's what it's all about. But I don't see. And here's what I worry about. What I worry about is them pivoting away from Mike Hazen as GM or Mike Hazen stepping down as GM based on things that have happened with his wife and wanting to take care of his family. It would be completely understandable, right? But with that being said, I think the reason why I fear that is that Mike Hazen has actually developed what seems like a pretty exciting plan for the future of this team. And as we move along, as these young players that they've talked about, but we haven't had a chance to see much of, come up and become successful at a major league level, like we've seen out of Alec Thomas and Stone Garrett and Tommy Henry, that really makes it a bit more understandable why the Diamondbacks didn't want to block these positions by bringing in free agents, even if they weren't very costly free agents by MLB standards. They really wanted to do what you're talking about, which is let the young guys play and give them an opportunity and have them come up and succeed, But like this series, nothing went right for the Diamondbacks, to be honest. Like even Joe Mantiply, as far as a relief, because the bullpen really doesn't have a lot that you can rely on for the future, but Joe Mantiply seemed to be that piece. He came into this game, Rock, with a 13-game scoreless streak. He is the only pitcher in baseball to accumulate 2 scoreless streaks of 13 games plus or more. And of course, had a meltdown in his third inning of work, giving up 2 earned runs in this game and getting the loss in this one, his 4th loss of the season. So it's frustrating because even when you look at Melancon, even when you look at Kennedy, you start saying things, you start throwing out other options, you start looking at how good Mantiply has been, and then Mantiply comes into a game like this that was very close and ends up giving up the go-ahead runs when it comes to, this close game against the Cardinals. The Diamondbacks just couldn't, unfortunately, do anything right, it felt like at times in this series.
Yeah, and that's, unfortunately, it just seems to be a recurring theme that happens series after series with this team. Unfortunately, they go through these spurts where they're playing really good baseball, and then the wheels seem to fall off, and then it's just like, man, we're back.
You think it's going to carry over, right? Like they have a big offensive output, and you're like, all right, man, it feels like they got things back on track. They hung up 7-8 runs in this game, and then especially in this, in this series, the first game, all they could muster up was the 1 run, and that barely seemed like that was even plausible at times with the way they were hitting in that first game. And series game 2, things looked a little bit better. Game 3, same thing. They had a lead at times, but man, when you talk about things falling apart, there's nothing more abysmal than them hanging up, what was it, 8 runs in the 9th inning in game 2. That still is just incredible to me.
That's one way to completely break the spirit of the opposing team.
Well, that's why I wonder, like at this point, does that, like the Diamondbacks probably had some confidence, going into this series. And again, this reminds me of when they played the Dodgers and got swept in 4, where it just like, man, it not only was it a sweep, right, but it just feels like it just let all of the air out of the Diamondbacks balloon and make them feel like they are, again, a subpar team by comparison to this, this monster that they faced.
But hey, at least we got the Royals next.
But anyway, there we go. Bounce back, right? That's all we can do. Bounce back. And of course, one thing you can do is bounce back by going to our friends at foco.com. Get yourself some Arizona Diamondbacks merch. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to move on. Maybe you want to move on the football season. I understand. I'm not going to blame you at this point. But regardless of where you want to go, Foco has you covered. We are partnering with a leader in sports merchandise and collectibles. They have everything. Of course, licensed gear for Jesse's dog. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Rock, but Jesse's dog is very posh. We'll only wear licensed gear. We'll not have you sending them any fake collars or clothing from eBay or any of those fake jerseys that you get. But Foco's got you covered with licensed gear for men, women, kids, the whole thing. I've been talking about the bobbleheads. Do you buy that the Diamondbacks and other teams don't have bobbleheads because of the supply chain, or do you think that there's another reason why? Because there are some teams in baseball that have been giving away bobbleheads. I said some of those teams do have more money than the Diamondbacks. Maybe they're looking to domestic companies to purchase their bobbleheads. Maybe they're getting them from Foco. I don't know. Foco makes a really high quality bobblehead. So, I mean, I could understand going to them, but for 10,000 of them, I don't know.
I don't know if it's a supply chain issue. It could be a financial. And if it's financial, all I can think of, Ken Kendricks has a $100 million baseball card collection. Go sell a Hank Aaron and get some bobbleheads for your fan base.
Well, I'll tell you, I think there was part of that whole 2020 debacle where teams just have all of this old crap sitting around that they can't do anything with. But Foco doesn't have old crap. Foco's crap is up to date and awesome. Their collectibles and bobbleheads are amazing. And you can use our code of PHNX to get yourself 10% off all non-presale items. They had like all the new City Connect jerseys this year. They had bobbleheads for the Field of Dreams game and the All-Star game. It was lit. They have great stuff. So make sure to check them out. And also make sure to check out our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Of course, it is college foosball season, everybody. College football's back. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use our promo code of PHNX, and you will bet just $5 on college football as a new customer. You will get $200 in free bets instantly. That's code PHNX only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. And Rock, I did not do well with my picks on Thursday. Let me tell you, I went 0 for 3. And that's the reason why they kicked me off the bet show, in case anyone was wondering why I don't appear on that program anymore. But hey, I'm out here trying. Okay. If you all right, here's the thing. If I could predict the future, do you think I would be here? I would be on a Cayman Islands like a billionaire. I can't do that.
No,
but I'll give it my
if
best.
if you could predict the future, it would be like when Biff Tannen had the sports almanac and Back to the Future,
Correct.
and made all the correct bets and just destroyed the world.
1,000%.
That would be you, my friend.
There would be a Derek World somewhere in Las Vegas, some giant monstrosity hotel that you would.
Oh, you'd be the mayor. You would be the mayor of every city across the globe.
Yeah. It'd be like I'd be like a villain in a bad 80s movie for sure. I'm excited about that. But of course, don't do whatever you want over at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Be a villain. Who cares? Like, who are you to judge? Bet whatever you want. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Remember, get down on the live betting. I've been having fun doing the live betting. That's more exciting to me than anything else, just because things change fast. Got to get in quick before odds change. Values are good at sometimes. Don't even know what to expect sometimes during live betting, but do what you do over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app.
That is correct.
Here's what I got. Speaking of DraftKings Sportsbook, I got our king of the series, which actually is a 2-time winner in a row. That's Josh Rojas, Joshy Rojas. Baseball is life. He had a 364 batting average in this series, 3 runs, 2 walks. My wife had an interesting take on Josh Rojas. We were watching him attempt to make a double play, and she just brought up, she's like, he looks like he's trying harder than everybody else. And I laughed because I was like, he absolutely is. He absolutely is. So say what you will about Josh Rojas, but man, has been incredible. He actually had a 452 batting average coming into this game with 6 RBI in his last 8 games. So again, he's just been a big contributor to this team. Man, I tell you what, man, I still love just his attitude. I love everything that he is. And, I just like guys that try to make something happen when nothing's happening for your team, right? Like we saw him in this series attempt to kick things off and get the offense going several times when nobody really was doing much.
Yeah, no, he plays the game at a high level. You can, like your wife said, he's definitely out there trying harder. He's having fun with it. And you need that. You need the young guys to be that spark plug for these veterans, especially like as a season is getting closer to the end. These younger guys need to be there, put their foot on the gas, keep the team going. He does that. Yeah. Little Dalton Varsho does that.
Yeah,
with his little legs running around like a
heart and hustle. He's our short king. He's our short king, and he's also the Heart and Hustle Award winner, by the way. So give it up for our short king.
It's fun. It's fun watching those guys play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what it's about. That's what this entire season has been about. I think that's why it's, yes, the Diamondbacks aren't probably going to end the season close to 500. And yes, the Diamondbacks aren't probably going to, sniff a playoff spot, but the improvement and the amount of playing time, the development, the maturation of the young guys, that has to be something that you're excited about with this team. And I mean, there's still a lot to look forward to going forward. At the very least, I can say that this team is developing its identity more than whatever the hell you want to call the breakdown that last season was. But shout out to Josh Rojas, our DraftKings king of the series. And of course, Rock, the only division that really matters for us right now, we have to small victories, right? We got to take small things. We got to keep it condensed. It's the all city division. That's the only division that matters. And right now the Diamondbacks remain in second place in the all city division, just behind those wily White Sox, who really have been very good lately, but they're still struggling to find their way into the playoffs in some way, I think, over there in the American League. Rockies continue to be very bad. And then you have the Cubs. Those two were supposed to be switched as well, but I think that was my mistake. That one was my mistake, but it doesn't matter. They're both Rockies. We wanted to give them a little benefit of the doubt for the time being because they've had a rough season. They had a rough game against the Giants today where it looked like things were going to go their way, and they've kind of had a similar stretch of luck that the Diamondbacks have had against some of these tougher teams, but at least they still play each other quite a bit. And like you said, looking at the upcoming calendar, they do have the Kansas City Royals, who get to see Emmanuel Rivera return and all that he has been as of late for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yep.
The D-backs do have Zach Davies going in game 1 of this series and Zach Gallen going in game 2. So have to feel pretty good about that. But not so good about the White Sox series where things might end up lining up in a similar fashion as this one. I'll tell you, I take Tommy Henry and Merrill Kelly starting in a series any day of the week. But yeah, it would be nice to see Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly start in as many series together as they possibly could. But yeah, the D-backs have a chance to get right here against the Kansas City Royals after this sweep by the Cardinals. I don't like to say that though, Rock, because it seems like whenever I say that, they do not get right against the team that I say they should get right against.
Just got to go out there and play the game and hope that everything falls our way. That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Know?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Let's talk about it because I know we have to talk about it. I am now the mayor of my day club. Again, it was similar to how I became the mayor of Disneyland. I just kind of made myself that, but it's because I lived there for a ridiculous amount of time. I was there doing the OG's variety show with my friends from PHNX, and lo and behold, Rock, after I was done doing the show, I noticed that my car keys were nowhere to be found. Yeah, like you could blame me, right? Like this seems like my problem. I get it. Well, right? Like, Derek, what were your car keys doing not on your person? Well, in my defense, there were a lot of things that are important to me that weren't on my person. My wallet, my cell phone at one point, my backpack that had lots of equipment in it. I don't know. Sometimes I expect when I'm keys? All I lost was my keys. All I lost, that's it. It was just my main mode of transportation. I am 100% convinced, Rock, that the people from Postmates that I was complaining about earlier in the day showed up and threw them in the trash or something. I don't know. I have no evidence to back that up, but I don't know. Whoever did this seemed to do it to spite me. And I spent way too long at that club. I'm way too old to be at a club. See, Leah says I saw the keys as the Friday show went live. So where are the keys, Rock? That is the true mystery, not how I survived for 7 hours on nothing but tequila and whatever the hell this pink drink was in a bottle that I was mixing it with. That is not the question. The question is that. No, never. Or, again, how comfortable those OG's pool floats are to sleep on when you need to just take a quick nap in the. It was hot out. I was in the sun, but I still want to know where my keys are. So if someone finds my keys, please contact me on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. You guys know that. My DMs are no longer open because that was a whole other thing.
Oh, Lord.
But Leah says it's not about the keys. It's about the friends we made along the way. No, Leah, it's not. These girls came up to me, Rock, and were like, oh, did you lose your keys? And all I could think was, do you have them or do you know where they are? Because if not, get out of my face.
I will say,
hitting on me. I don't know. I don't care. I didn't care. I just wanted my keys back. I just wanted to leave so bad.
Yeah, I will say
I was really parked in a parking lot or a parking space, by the way, that had a sign next to it that said it was a tow-away zone from 6 p.m. until 3 a.m. So I had a very finite amount of time to get my car out of there. And Leah's over here like talking in the comments like she didn't abandon me. I stayed there for hours after you left. Do you know how long I was stuck there listening to that music? I swear to God, it was on a loop. It started repeating itself after a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not doing any. Here's the thing. My day club is a lovely place to spend a few hours, not a place for you to spend your entire day. She did. I'm just taking it out on people. Derek. But Leah says she did stay with me longer than anybody else. She actually, Rock, she sat with me and just consoled me because she knew I was sad. But maybe Mark says Leah did that to teach me a lesson, and I still don't. Here's the thing. Leah's too nice for that. Also, so is Shane, and so is Sean DePaz. And I'm going to throw out there that Jacob and Emma are also both too nice to that. So that only leaves one person, and that person would be my GM, Saul Bookman. Now, do I think Saul Bookman would steal my keys to teach me a lesson? Yes. Do I still think he would steal my keys just because he thinks it's funny? Yes. Do I think he would just steal my keys just to do it? All of the above. So I think we figured out who our prime suspect is.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we
no
for sure certain that he did not steal your keys? Do you know for a fact he didn't do it?
I don't know for a fact. I don't know for a fact, Rock, because people can lie. They could say, no, I don't have your keys, and then be like, tee-hee, I do have your keys. Ha-ha. So we'll see. But that, again, the wildest part was I had a blast, even though I was stuck there because I was hanging out with our friends from OGs, and they are an incredible company. I know that we talk about using their products. We talk about how great they are. I often say I don't know that girl that I took the picture with, and that's a lie. I know exactly who that is. It's all kayfabe, right? But here's the thing is the OG's company is really ran by some incredible people. Their CEO, Bran, joined us on the variety show, and he was just a delight to talk to, and he killed everybody in my Bud Band or Burn trivia contest. So he won that. And again, it's a wonderful company to support. That's what we're all about. We're all about supporting local companies, and we hope you guys support us. We just hit 1 million downloads on this little podcast thing that we do, and we're very excited about that. So we thank you guys for being a member, for listening, for everything you guys do, whether you're just watching this show, commenting. We do this for you. We do this because of you, and we thank you so much for being here and being a part of it. If you haven't signed up to get a membership, sign up now at gophnx.com and get yourself an annual membership. You'll get yourself a free t-shirt like this beauty flag one right here. I like this one a lot. Whatever t-shirt you choose, you can get your free t-shirt with that annual membership. You can get a month-to-month membership, and you'll get your first month for just 50 cents. Regardless of your membership status, you will get access to our members-only Discord and members-only discounts over at the PHNXLocker.com. Also, if you're here, make sure to sign up to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Leave us a thumbs up if you can, and sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever we go live, like we did with our little OG's variety show. Sometimes we just do fun stuff like that, kind of on short notice. So we were glad for you guys to join us. We hope you guys enjoyed what we put together for you. Again, my quick minor league update. Hopefully we see Brandon Fott. Hopefully we see Corbin Carroll. These are two guys that we very well could see before at the end of this season. And I think, again, going back to what Rock was saying, it's all about the young kids at this point and the excitement there. Obviously, Rock has that Tatis Jr. shirt behind him, and I know he's a big fan of that. So I guess before I let you go, before I get out of here, I got to ask you, what are your thoughts on this? And more importantly, I guess, what are your thoughts on the way that his teammates reacted to this entire situation?
Yeah. So first and foremost, the D-backs are my team. So don't get your panties in a bunch, D-backs fans.
Just to clarify.
Yes, Fernando Tatis Jr. has been my favorite player in the game. Prior to all of this young man was one of the faces of the league. He was the face of the show last year, the video game. He's one of the most exciting players to watch. Right. This offseason with the wrist, that injury happened with a motorcycle. There's talk that he lied about it, whatever. The Padres didn't know. He was on the cusp of coming back, and then he gets hit with an 80-game ban for using a steroid. For me, as a fan of his, I'm still going to support the man and be a fan. The problem is, though, this is going to follow him for the rest of his career. No matter what he does on this baseball field moving forward, he is always going to have the steroid tag attached to him, which if he were to continue playing baseball at the level that he does, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. No, he will not anymore because he has steroids attached to his name. And anybody that has steroids attached to their name at this point is not in the Hall of Fame. And that's the biggest thing for me, because he is so fun to watch. Like, I don't know what his mindset is. I don't know if he has the wrong people around him. He doesn't have an OG like looking out for him. I don't know, but he's made some incredibly.
Do you think Do you think the topical cream excuse holds water in any way, or do you think it's bullshit?
It sounds just ridiculous. Because my thing
Yeah,
is
it
this:
really does.
you are Fernando Tatis Jr. You are one of, if not the most exciting athletes on the planet. You should have somebody vetting anything that touches your body, goes into your body.
You're
If a
absolutely
doctor
right.
gives this to you, you have your other
Yeah.
person vet that medication. So there's
Yeah.
problems there. You asked if the way that his teammates addressed him, spoke out on him.
Yeah, because it wasn't exactly supported in any way, it
No,
seemed like, from his
no, because
teammates,
you know
and I
what?
think
Those
that it
guys
felt
have
like the
been
right
battling
call,
all
right?
season. Yeah, they've been battling all season. They just picked up the most lucrative free agent, or not free agent, the most lucrative player at the trade deadline.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Nando was about to come back, and that team was going to be a problem. And now this is a distraction. Now that's oh my
That's a
god,
great comparison. Nicholas
yeah,
Batty
you
in the
nailed it.
comments said
You know,
he's like
and
OBJ. Can't get
yeah,
out of the
you know
front
what?
line.
When Musgrove said what he said, Clevenger said what he said, Machado said what he said. They're all within their rights. If I was his teammate, I would be pissed because they're all fighting to get somewhere this team hasn't been in quite some time. And not saying they still can't do that, but who doesn't want a Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back for the home stretch?
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
in that instance, I have no problem with how they spoke to him, towards him. There's been reports that he's supposedly was going to be addressing the team internally sometime this week. It's all going to come out eventually. We'll know what was said. We'll know a portion of it. But, for me, the baseball fan, like, he's never going to get into the Hall of Fame now, I don't think, if his career continues at the level that it was, unless because the baseball writers, as they get older and some of the older members drop off, some of the younger writers might have different points of view
We
on the
could see
game.
that.
But, anybody with steroids is not in the Hall of Fame, which is an entire level of hypocrisy, in my opinion, when it comes to Major League Baseball, because steroids save baseball. Like it or love it, hate it or love it, you can't convince me otherwise. When McGuire and Sosa were chasing them home run records, it was the only thing that was on TV. And not everybody is oblivious to the fact that all them dudes were juiced the hell up. So, it is what it is. But the baseball writers
Yeah,
at
I
this
think
point are not budging. They're not budging to let these guys in. So,
well, I think the writers thing is definitely true, right? They've said it a lot about the hypocrisy of the writers, like covering, that time like they did. But, I think it's all for the health. It's all for the better of the game, for things to be going in a way where things are fair and we're not doing this anymore. But I don't know. I mean, I think that there's also something to be said about not having an archaic view on medicine, because I know that steroids do get prescribed for things. They do help. There is a medical reason for it. There is a medical reason to take lots of things. But in this case, for instance, I think someone said it in the comments, doctors asked about this, said they would never have prescribed this supposed cream for ringworms. So who knows? Maybe this was a self-diagnosis at the pharmacy in Tijuana or something.
To me,
I don't know. Sometimes
he needs to come out and publicly say something. Not his father, not somebody else. He at some point needs to, and it's going to happen. There's going to be a sit-down interview with him and somebody where he's going to talk about this, and it needs to happen. His dad needs to not try to stick up for him. Pedro Martinez, David Ortiz. I saw what they said. I get what they're trying to do, but to me, they're just making the situation worse. Like, everybody feels the way they feel about it.
Sure.
So let the young man deal with it,
and they're going to
speak on it, and go from there.
I think the Padres are a team that already are. They seem to be pretty outstanding with or without Tatis, but I can understand the frustrations of not having a talent like that coming back when you're attempting to make a run at the World Series. Who knows what's going to happen after this season? Who knows what's going to happen in the near future for the Padres? They've mortgaged a lot of their future on winning in the near future, right? Like, they have mortgaged quite a bit of it. So it will be interesting to see if they can use this as motivation, or if this is yet another another thing that kind of holds them back from ever getting to that point. But
he's gonna be there for a while.
Like I said,
he signed like a 13-year contract, 14-year contract. He
all
ain't
going to
going
be there
nowhere.
it feels like the Padres have everybody for like 20 years, but it's wild.
He's not going anywhere. So, and another side note, I know I usually come on here to do drop knowledge with rock knowledge, talking about the sports card industry. This Tatis news is also affecting his value in the baseball card marketplace. So, yeah,
and you're not a fan of that because I know you're a stockholder.
I'm
in the Fernando Tatis card industry.
Collect, and this is not good for the sports card market either. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, thank you guys all for joining us. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. Again, I'm at cap_caveman with a K. This guy over here is at Rock Knowledge. He's AKA Ned Slanders on there because he's a hater extraordinaire on Twitter. But of course, our show is at PHNX_DBacks, and all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys again for taking the time to join us. Hopefully you had one of our delicious beers from Four Peaks to drown your sorrows in this sweep. And let's move on. We have an off day tomorrow, and then we get it in Kansas City. So we thank you guys again for joining us. On behalf of Rock and myself, I appreciate you guys joining us and giving us your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you defend yourself and don't let your dad do it for you.